YouTube exclusive every single week, 10 good minutes. I guess I shouldn't just shoehorn this into NBA, but it's going to be NBA for a while as it tries to survive the football overlap. Okay, I was locked in on Houston last night, four straight after the 0-2 start. No shame in the 0-2 start, double overtime to OKC. That was an incredibly intense game, and that was like a playoff game to start the season. And then a 4-point loss to Detroit. We saw with Detroit last night, Cade going for 19 in the fourth quarter. A loss to Detroit's not a bad loss. So they've won four straight. I know I've talked about this Adams double big thing because, again, part of me almost like just being older feels like the double big thing is, it's like, I've made the joke before, like also known as power forward and center. Um, but then it wasn't like Houston was the only one that's done it. We've run through teams that have tried to do some of this double big stuff, but I kind of knew this. It was like, that's cool. That's cool. And I think it's overstated with some of the dominance physically against Golden State in a matchup in the playoffs. Again, that they ended up losing the series. But like when it really comes down to it, are you going to be doing these things? And last night was like a perfect example in that win against Dallas because Adam starts the first two and now he's come off the bench in the last four. That is not the reason why they've won four straight and changing things around. He did play 23 minutes last night against Dallas. And then the other part of this kind of, I wouldn't call it the experiment, but the other storyline of the preseason and the regular season for the Rockets is Amen Thompson at point guard. And it's like, yeah, he brings the ball up. By the way, his play off of the free throw miss where he rebounds his own miss, saves the ball to Şengün, and then Şengün throws in this pass that looks like it's so slow that nobody's even ready or reacting to the pass, and then it's an alley-oop to Amen. It's just a filthy, filthy play and a display of what Amen Thompson is capable of physically. And we all like him, right? We all like him a lot. The shooting has been a disaster to start the season. We'll see what happens. But in the fourth quarter, when you're watching a fourth quarter of a close game, that's when you start to really learn about what teams want to do, what they default to. And guess what? Amen is not your point guard, and Adams is on the bench. So the ball should be running through Kevin Durant. Dallas was trying to trap him. When they would trap Durant and they would have lineups with Durant being trapped with Şengün in, it was just dissecting Dallas perfect. It was awesome. KD, totally steady. You want to trap me? It's fine. I can still pass. I'm 7 feet tall. Throw it to Şengün, one of the best passing bigs in the entire league. I might just call him one of the best passers in the NBA because he is. Then he's operating at the elbow. Now you kind of have 4 against 3, which is what that old Golden State stuff used to be during their prime with Draymond catching it at the free throw line. And then you're just turning around. It's like, oh, you want to trap Steph? You want to trap Clay? All right, no problem. 4-on-3s behind you all night long. And then you have a men in the dunker spot and it's just too late. Like there's nothing you can do because Şengün can pull up, he can drive, he can kick out to the opposite corner, or Amen can crash from his corner because the other problem with Amen, well, I shouldn't frame it that way as if I'm listing a bunch of Amen Thompson problems, but it's just, him being in the corner is not really even a decoy until he figures out this 3-point shooting. But he's so quick on these cuts and he's so physical and he's going to get over the top of you, especially if you're not like locked to him on whatever he's deciding to do. Obviously, at this point in his career, I would play him for the cut. They did the exact same thing on another play where instead of Amen, it was Tari Eason in the dunker spot. He crashes down. He was terrific from three last night. So, there's a bit more of a threat there, obviously, with Tari on the catch and then also on the cut with this stuff. But like when I look at usage rate, and again, a lot of these stats, again, we're 2 weeks into this thing, so we don't want to freak out about any of this stuff. But Amen, and by the way, the balance and usage rate for the Rockets in general is just beautiful to look at. But Amen's 21, he's like 21 for the season, and then it drops down to 17 in the fourth quarter. That's seventh on the team. I don't think it'll be seventh on the team throughout the regular season, but there was another play where Durant had the ball right side, Amen is in the corner, and Durant has the decision to pull up against two players where the shot was actually going to be contested, the rare time that Durant's jumper is going to be contested. It's contested. He doesn't even make the shot, but Amen was like standing in the corner waiting for the catch. And Durant, that's just a guy's like, hey, man, like this is still probably a better shot, me pulling up from 15 against two defenders than you wide open in the corner from 3. But you get the point. Again, the fourth quarter stuff is, I don't want to call it pointless because of the stats, but just something on these two storylines and then what they actually will default to because teams can talk about, hey, we want to do some of this. We want to run some of these things. We want to do some of these things. And then it's like, all right, the last 6 minutes, your 5 guys that you really like are really out there. And, this is something that we only really have to worry about until like May if you're a Rockets fan. Look at me, like us Rockets guys. We only have to worry about it next year. But if you wanted to do the double big, depending on the matchup, that's fine. And of course, you want to play him in because of his defense and just, what you hope he'll be towards the end of this regular season. But it is very, very hard to survive in today's NBA with two, like one non-spacer, two. It's really two non-spacers. I don't want to call him in a zero on offense because it's just not the case. I mean, he lit it up last night in the box score. But Adams not a threat to shoot. That's just a lot of spacing that you're not getting if you were to play both of those guys. Now, again, if you look at the Adams minutes in the fourth quarter, he's 12th on the team in fourth quarter minutes. Clint's actually second, but he's played only 4 or 6 games. So, look, they're developing him in during the game for at least 2 to 3 quarters, and then they're defaulting back to what is their best option, and that's Şengün with the basketball in his hands. He had a play from 30 feet out where he just ISO'd between his legs. I think it was PJ Washington, and there's just really nothing you can do with this guy. I love Şengün. I absolutely love him, even if we could admit that maybe you're going to bring him up and do a switch in a playoff series, and that's why the bigs are there to try to protect him somewhat defensively. All right, couple numbers here on Houston. Right now, they're the best offense in the NBA. Now, the three-point shooting's terrific. I mentioned the balance that I've really liked, but here's a number that's not going to hold up. Houston's number 2 in free throw attempts per game at 32.3. Orlando's actually number 1 in the NBA right now. Opponents against Houston are shooting under 17 free throw attempts per game. All right. That is an absurd number. The Clippers are second in opponents' free throw attempts per game at 20.4. So right now, Houston is plus 15.4 free throw attempts each game. Not really a sustainable number. Utah's number 2 in the NBA at plus 7.4 free throw attempts per game. So there's always some of these early numbers here that you'll kind of like, what is that going to hold up? Like Philadelphia's opponent 3-point shooting. They're your 1 seed in the East. It's remarkable. We love the 3-guard lineup. And then when they get everybody else back, like it's going to be kind of interesting. And then Embiid's going to be kind of ramping it up. Obviously, week 2 has been better than week 1, physically looking at him. But Philly's opponents are not making threes. They're under, I think the number, maybe it was yesterday, it could have updated, under 30% collectively against Philadelphia from the 3-point line. The differential on what Philly's shooting from 3 and then what the opponents are shooting from 3 is plus 9.6. Last year, the best number in the NBA was Milwaukee at plus 3.3. So it's not going to stand. I was noticing on some of the opposing 3-point shooting because Philadelphia has been, you don't want to call it the luckiest, but at this stage, it's kind of the luckiest. Denver, second luckiest opponent 3-point shooting. Then you can get into some of the open miss numbers that are probably a little bit more revealing as far as luck or unlucky. But Denver's bench, are you ready for this, Nuggets fans? A plus 3.2 net rating so far, 6 games into the season. Why is that significant? Because let's look at their net ratings the last few years. Last year, 22nd, minus 2.2. The year before that, 22nd, minus 1.5. The year before that, they were 29th, minus 3.7. They were 22nd the year before that, minus 1.7. The point is they have not had a positive net rating from the bench since 2021. Another stat I thought was interesting as Detroit closed out Memphis. Ja played harder. He's not played in 7 straight games since 23. Is that true? They put it up on the graphic during the Pistons broadcast. When he hit 7 straight games, we're going to do a special pod. Executive decision. NBA rookie ladder. I saw Derek Queen was 8th. I don't know if the rookie ladder is compiling minutes. That was surprising to me. Now, to be fair, if you look at the counting stats like Queen, I think he's like 6th in rebounds. Maybe he's 9th in points. So he kind of fits in somewhere there. Jeremiah Fears is a baller. Like he's going to be good. I don't know if he's Keyshawn Washington good, who I love. Might do a recap of recent lottery selections and base that on hope. Cerruti, put a pin in that idea. So anytime I'm watching Queen out there, like it hasn't been pretty. It's fine. He's a young kid. He's trying to figure it out. They're throwing him out there. But as often as I have these moments where I'm watching Luka going, how the fuck did you trade this guy? and then not get any picks or build a market for him, and then have the audacity when you won the lottery to say, I hope people can kind of see the vision now. You're like, dude, you can't say that. But he did. The Queen first round pick thing is not that. I'm starting to just feel like I don't know if there'll ever be a deal that I think is as bad as the Luka deal. But draft night, Pelicans use the number 23 pick to move up to take Derek Queen, so that ends up being Asa Newell with Atlanta, and then include the 26 pick. And even at the time, all of us were like, "Well, where's the protection? Like, there's something else." And we're like, there isn't anything else. Atlanta gets the more favorable of New Orleans or Milwaukee's 26 pick again for Derek Queen. Milwaukee is 5-2, nice little start. New Orleans is not off to a nice start. They're 0-6. They're a negative 18, and the NBA worst, negative 18.1 net rating. That's worse than Brooklyn. Brooklyn's awful. Brooklyn spent 8 minutes trying to figure out a zone last night against Minnesota. I don't know that I've seen an NBA team go that many possessions. Like Porter Jr. didn't play, Cam Thomas coming out. Where's my guy Terrence Mann? I just like let him cook. Brooklyn's terrible. The Pelicans have had Zion for 5 of the 6 games. They've had Trey Murphy. They've had good draft picks, and they're 0-6. They have this kind of net rate. It can't be this bad, but then again, this is again with like healthy Zion. So you go on Tankathon this morning, running a little simulation, and the Pelicans have a 14% chance at owning the number 1 pick, a 52% chance of a top 4 pick, in a stacked kind of like 1 through 6 draft. So it sucks. It sucks that I feel bad for Derek Queen, because every time he starts a post up from 82 feet away, I'm like, man, that could be ugly. Irresponsible. It's just such a bad trade. Remember, get your questions in. We'll start getting this cooking. NBA mailbag rr@gmail.com. NBA mailbag rr@gmail.com. Please subscribe to the Ryen Russillo Show on Barstool, the podcast, and exclusively here on YouTube for 10 good minutes.